In New Mexico, to get around, you need a car. So whether you were in the car when it was damaged or you weren't, people's first concern in most situations is how do they get back mobile, right? You can't go to the doctor, can't go to work if you don't have a vehicle. And so my hope today is to give you some insight on how to best navigate working with your insurance, another driver's insurance, and getting the value that you get from the insurance company to be increased as much as possible. So it's important to note at the start, I'll talk about a first party and a third party. A first party is your insurance, right? The first party insured, whereas a third party is the other driver and their insurance. So in a situation after an accident, whether you're hit in the car or let's say your car is out in front of your house and someone hits it while on the street, I often advise people to go first with their insurance. The reason to go first with your insurance is because when you go with your insurance, it's going to be faster. You have contact information, you can make a claim, you can open it up, and generally your claim, your insurance cannot increase your car insurance rates if you are a victim of a car accident, you are not at fault. That's different if you're at fault, but if for some reason your insurance increases your car insurance after an accident, it's important to contact an attorney because that's a totally separate bad faith claim. But first you go through your insurance, right? It's faster. The only negative is that you're going to pay a deductible. Now that deductible, let's say if you get $5,000, you pay the $500, so they're just going to take that $500 off. Now they do, if there's another driver in their insurance, that other driver, they'll chase them down for the deductible. To be frank, that chase, maybe that's too kind of a word, that's not going to be very quick. They're going to take a year, if not more, in a lot of circumstances. So that's the negative of going with your insurance. The reason not to go with a third-party insurance, the other driver, is a lot of situations, the other driver does not, you're not going to have their insurance coverage, right? If they hit you on the street and say hit and run, you don't know who they are. And if it's a police reported issue, you're not going to find it for a couple of weeks and further delay getting your car. But they don't have a deductible in place when that's the case, and so that's a good reason to sometimes go with the other driver, is if you can't pay that deductible. But again, that delay can be an issue. So first off, a lot of people are concerned about getting a rental. So when you're looking to get a rental, you're going to generally look at your first party insurance. I would highly advise people to get rental coverage. You need it, it's helpful after a collision. To be aware, it's not going to last long term. Now, if you don't have rental coverage, your insurance is not going to provide you a rental car. So you're going to have to go through the other driver's insurance, period. But if you go through your insurance, you have to make that note. You got to let them know, get the car. Just remember, it's only going to be as long as they're working to repair the car or to total it. So it's, like I said, it's only about 7 to 14 days. Now, with the other driver, you'll get that information later. Maybe your car insurance is working to fix the car, but you need a rental. You got to reach out to them. Now, sometimes they're going to fight back and say no. They're going to require you to get a reimbursement. This is a thing it's always worth asking to say, can I get a rental? They might not be able to, or if the other driver has low insurance rates or their property damage rates are low, they might not have coverage available for you. And so there are situations where you're going to be left without a rental. So the best thing to put in your hands is to have that kind of rental coverage on your car. So now after you've gotten your rental resolved, or unfortunately situations you might not have one, the next step is you kind of need to remember to be on people. I think the thing that people expect is that these companies will get back to you, or the car place that's working with you will get back to you based on the insurance. You kind of need to stay on them, right? It's my job when I'm working with insurance companies. I set a reminder and I follow pretty much every single day, or I set a deadline and ask for the response by that time. But you need to stay on them. Now, when they get to the point, and I don't know why, but a majority of cars I see now after some collision are often totaled. I'm under the impression the insurance companies use a broad range. What they're assessing for is to fix the car, is it more expensive than the value of the car? But they also account for the salvage value and how they're going to be able to sell that car later. So a lot of cars are totaled. Now, an unfortunate part of the car rate market or the car market now, right? You buy a new car, we all know that you drive it off the lot, it's worth less. But generally, the money you're going to get back is going to be worth less when you are buying that car or when you're getting that money from the insurance company because you put more mileage on it, or that value is just going to be lower. If you buy a car or finance a car, that's why it's important to have gap insurance. So the difference between the value and what they pay you is covered. That's still another fight. I'm not pretending that's super easy, but again, that's another way to protect yourself. So you have that insurance, you have that coverage, maybe you don't, but they're going to get an offer from that company. Now, if it's an offer to fix the car, they go ahead and fix it and they pay the shop directly, and that should be all handled, less your deductible. That doesn't happen as much in my experience. Maybe I just see more severe car accidents. At the same point, if they total the car, they're going to give you a timeline. They're going to say, okay, here's the date, here's our number. Now, a lot of the times, and most people are not happy with that number. I seldom see people say, hey, great number, thank you so much. That's exactly what I thought the car was worth. What you're going to need to do is they don't always give you a comp, but you need to ask for the comps that they got to that number with, right? Here, what are the other car values? What are the other numbers that made you get this assessment? What are you basing this on? And you need to double check their work. A lot of people assume because it's an insurance company, it's a big company, that they're not going to make mistakes, but just like you and me, they make mistakes. So it's helpful, right? They pulled a car from 2 states away, right? That's not right. They devalued it for this reason, or it's the wrong model year. So you need to double check their work. At the same point, what you're going to do is get online, go to a bunch of different websites and find similar cars within a similar radius with similar mileage to your vehicle and kind of prove that to them. And then what you do is you send them 2 or 3 comps. If you have more, you send more and you say, I want this number, right? You want to ask for a specific number and work to negotiate. This is all negotiable. You're able to negotiate it. Now, they're going to push back and they're sometimes a little sterner on these numbers with the value of the car. But if you have comps, that's a way to get your value increased and get more money in your pocket. I'm making no guarantees, but that's what I would do, and I've had to help some clients get those things together to push that number. But when you push that number, right, you're still going to be negotiating. Now, a thing to be aware of, like I still said, you'd be happy and proud of your negotiation skills are pushing back. That still maybe is not going to get you the full value of your car. The next thing to be aware of is what's called loss of use. Now, in New Mexico, there's a case called Crest v. Scott that says if you don't get a rental car for some reason, right, you borrow your buddy's car, or you bike, or you walk, you are still entitled to that loss of use value, that value you could have had if you could have gotten into a car any day of the week. That loss of use value, what you do, from the date of the collision to the date the car is totaled or repaired, you're entitled to money for each day. Now, I would do some comparisons. What I would look at is, hey, what's the rental rate for those days? And let's say 10 days and I find a rental of a similar car, right? If I'm driving a big truck and I need something similar, I would note that. Now, if it's a sedan, you're probably stuck at that sedan price. You compare those two, say, okay, I would have paid $160 a day for those 10 days. And again, you offer that to the insurance company. You say, please get back to me within a day, 2 days, whatever works in your situation. And you put that to them. I'll tell you that they're going to come back in the range, in my experience, between $30 and $50. They generally value that rental rate and what they're owed at a similar perspective of that they can get a cheaper rate, right? They rent a lot of cars. They help people rent a lot of cars. They get a better rate than you and I off the street. However, it's still another way to get more money in your pocket as opposed to not. Insurance companies are not going to go out of their way to offer you loss of use values unless you ask for it. So let's say you've gotten loss of use, you've gotten your car totaled and taken care of, you've gotten that all together. It's important to note, and this is why another reason I often suggest people handle it first themselves. So why can't your personal injury attorney do it? We try and help as much as possible. It's important to, right, I want to get clients resolved and get their issue handled. Now, if you don't have a bodily injury case, I probably, in a lot of circumstances, don't touch these cases because we don't take a fee. If your car was damaged and you weren't in the car and it's just property damage, you have insurance for that reason. It's harder to negotiate. The other problem is if I take a percentage of a fee, like I standard do in a contingency fee case, right? Nobody pays me until we get a resolution. But if it's in a context of a car, it has to be a very high value car that we're fighting for in that context, because otherwise, if I take a percentage of that, not only is this person getting money back, but I'm preventing them from buying a new car because I'm taking a cut of that. So it's one reason we don't necessarily get too involved in those, but I'm happy to help clients navigate that situation because it's complicated and hard. So, right, I always ask people to tell me what's going on. Another reason, though, that I try not to get immediately involved in property damage cases is because when you get immediately involved, the insurance will slow roll the case. And not because of, I actually think this isn't intentional or them being hard, but I'm the middleman then. So I have to communicate with you when to drop your car off. I have to communicate with them. And so I play this middleman, and it's really hard to be there in the best position for you on your property damage, which you can move along faster. I generally allow clients to talk to the insurance company only about their property damage. Don't talk about what caused the accident. Don't talk about your injuries, right? If they ask you questions, say, direct that to my attorney. But that allows you to get that property damage resolved a lot sooner, whereas if I get involved and step in. So my hope today really is kind of explain a little bit about why you should go through your insurance or the other driver's insurance, how to best get a rental, what to do to increase the value, right? Even if you get $100 more in your pocket from doing a little bit of Google research, it's a couple $100 more, hopefully more. And then at the same point, your loss of use too. Sometimes insurance companies take a long time, or the body shop takes a long time, or your car gets hit sometime right before the holidays. So it's important that you're in that position, just getting a little bit more money in your pocket. And at the same point too, then you're in a position to understand why maybe some attorneys aren't taking these cases, and give you a little bit, my hope is to give you a little bit of tools and direction on how to best navigate your property damage after a collision, whether you're in the car or not.